how I won admission and scholarship to study in Sweden. This is a webinar with Precious. Precious is an SI scholarship recipient 2021. And she's a student, a master's student in economics at Lund University here in Sweden. My name is Amaraizu Genius, and I'll be your moderator and host for tonight. So in Swedish, we'll say välkommen, and English, welcome. Like I said earlier on, Precious is a student, a master's student at Lund University. And Lund University currently sits in the position of one of the top schools in Sweden and one of the highly ranked schools in the world. And this is a picture of me. Just behind me is the iconic building at Lund University. And once again, I welcome you all to this webinar. In our invitation, we shared with you that this is an interesting session because of certain elements in this session. And those elements are the basic reason why some of you are here, of course. Precious is a Nigerian. More interestingly, a 21-year-old Nigerian. And just last year, 2020, she applied for SI scholarship. She applied for admission in Sweden. And by this year, she was awarded these things. She was awarded admission in one of the top schools in Sweden, and she was awarded scholarship, SI scholarship, Swedish Institute Scholarship for Global Professionals, the most prestigious scholarship in Sweden. Today, Precious will be sharing us her story. Not just like any other story, but a story that has to do with resilience, a story that has to do with strategy, and a story that has to do with knowing what you want and going for what you want. Precious graduated from the university for her bachelor's program in 2019, finished the national service in Nigeria in 2020, and by 2021, she's doing her master's program. So at this point, I want to welcome Precious, who is our guest and who will speak to us, who will tell us her story, encourage us, and give us step-by-step guide on how she won the Swedish admission and the Swedish Institute scholarship. So Precious, welcome, and over to you. I will stop sharing my screen now.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Yeah, my name is Precious Chidima Owanchukwu, and today I'm going to be discussing how I won the Swedish Institute Scholarship for Global Professionals. So please, if you can hear me, please, can you put a 111 in the chat box? If you can hear me, please put a 111 in the chat box. Okay, great. People can hear me. Okay. All right, so I'm just going to do a brief introduction about myself, and then I proceed to how I won the Swedish Institute scholarship. Yeah, so yeah, I already said that. My name is Precious Chidima Owanchukwu, and I'm from Nigeria. I had my first degree in economics in Delta State University, Nigeria, and I won the Swedish Institute Scholarship for Global Professionals in 2021, and I came to Sweden in August. So currently, I'm doing my master's program in economics in Lund University here in Sweden. Yeah, and I graduated in 2019. I started serving in November 2019, and then I was done with service in October 2020. So before I was done with service, I had the intention to do my master's program. Yeah, and I was like, okay, I want to do my master's abroad and all of that. I need to do it in a place where they have a better education system. So in June last year, my coordinator called me and told me about the Swedish Institute scholarship. And I was amazed. It was interesting because the requirements and the criteria for getting the scholarship wasn't much. It's something that you can easily meet because you don't have to submit English proficiency exam or test scores, unlike other scholarship where you have to submit your TOEFL scores, your IELTS scores and all of that. But for the Swedish Institute scholarship, if your bachelor's studies was taught in English language, then you don't have to submit any English letter from your school or any TOEFL or IELTS exam scores and all of that. So I've worked with some volunteer organizations. I have experiences in economic welfare, human resources, administration, teaching. Yeah, so all these experiences I have and volunteer experiences, work experiences, everything really helped me when I was applying for admission and when I was applying for the scholarship. So for the admission process, yeah, you just need 3 documents, right? You just need 3 documents. So when my coordinator told me about the scholarship in June, I was already preparing. I mean, I was studying the website. And I gathered a lot of information. I went to LinkedIn, I went to Instagram to look for past SI scholars so I can get more information from them. So what I did was I started gathering the documents I needed for the admission application. Can you all hear me? A noise is distracting me.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, so for university admission, like for the admission application, you are going to need your certificate, you are going to need your transcript, and you are going to need your there's one other document, your ID card, like your international passport. So all these documents, even before the application started October last year, I was already preparing them because my coordinator told me about the scholarship and I was so interested in it because I mean, Sweden is a very developed country. Their education system is top notch and everything about it was so interesting. So that was actually the first time I got to know about the Swedish Institute scholarship. So when the application process started in October, I had to start putting my documents together. And I mean, if you don't have your certificate, you can use your statement of result because that was what I used. I used my statement of result because my certificate wasn't ready as at that time. So, and your transcript, if you're from Nigeria, you would have to go to school, tell your school to send the transcript themselves. You have to tell your school to send the transcript themselves. You don't send your transcript yourself. If you send it automatically, you are going to be disqualified. So, but if you're from Ghana, I think people from Ghana can upload their transcript themselves. But if you're from Nigeria, you would have to go to school and tell them to send your transcript to Sweden via a particular email address, which you're going to see on university admissions website. And then you also need your ID card. Yeah, and there's one thing I want you all to know. When applying for admission to study in Sweden, I want you to know that all schools in Sweden, they are all the same. Like, I mean, there is no better schools and there are no worse schools. Everything is the same. Everything is the same standard. You get the same value. There's no situation where you say, okay, this school is better than this school. The only difference, like the only reason why some people apply to some certain schools is maybe because they are popular or maybe because these schools are less competitive. So one thing I try to tell people is if you want to apply, try to apply to schools that are less competitive, because those schools, maybe the reason why people are not applying to those schools is because they're in the colder regions, or because those schools are not so popular, right? So yeah, that's one. I just wanted to know that all schools in Sweden are the same. They all have the same standard, and then you get the same value. And then, yeah, so concerning the scholarship, okay, before we get to the scholarship, I just wanted to know that to get admission in Sweden, it's not difficult. Yeah, it's not difficult. Just know what you need to submit. So what I did was, the only thing, thing about the admission is just try to submit your documents in time, because I think that was what helped me a lot. I already knew what I needed to submit before the application even started. So immediately the application started, I created my account, I traveled to school, and I went to the exams and records office. I told them that, okay, please, I need you people to send my transcripts to Sweden. And if you are from Nigeria, I don't know if everyone on this call is from Nigeria, but if you are from Nigeria, please go to school yourself. Tell them to send your transcript. Please don't just apply, tell them to send your transcript, and then you just leave it there. I mean, a lot of people lost out on the scholarship because their transcript did not get to Sweden. Their transcript did not get to Sweden. So try as much as you can to make sure that you follow it up, because that was what I did. I was in school till I saw on my university admissions portal that my was already in Sweden. So make sure that you follow it up. Please make sure you follow it up. It's very important, because some of these people working in those offices, they can be very sluggish. They can just leave your document there. They won't send it and all that. So you need to follow it up. You really need to follow it up to be sure that, okay, that your transcript is in Sweden already. And then for university, for the admission application too, you need to make sure that your names on all documents match. Like, you can't be having Precious Chidima in one document and you're having Precious Chidima Nwanchukwu in another document. It has to match in everything. So the admission process is not difficult. It's not difficult. So I think what helped for the admission process was I chose a program that was like related to what I did in my bachelor's, right? I mean, I studied economics in my bachelor's, and then for my master's in university admissions portal, I also applied for economics. So make sure that even if it's not the same, exactly the same, make sure that it's related, okay? Because you can't study mass communication in your bachelor's and then study and apply for agriculture in master's. So just make sure that it's related. It always gives people an edge. And then if you know that, well, I don't know if this works, but I usually tell people that if you have like a 2-2 or maybe a low grade or something, you can just apply to those less competitive schools. Even if you have a first class or you have a 2-1, still try to apply to those less competitive schools just to be on the safe side, right? Because, for example, now, if you apply to competitive schools and then they have to select like, okay, for example, now there are like 7 first class students and they just need like 4 people. I'm just giving an example. I mean, they're going to pick 4 first class students out of the 7, right? So just to be on the safe side, just try to apply to less competitive schools. Yeah, so what else? Okay, now, so I want us to, the main thing now is the scholarship application, because that's where the whole work is. So for admission application, I just want you to, you need to apply to less competitive schools. You don't have to apply to popular schools and all that. I'm not saying you don't have a chance to like get admitted to those schools, but just to be on the safe side, just try to apply to less competitive schools. Make sure that your name in all your documents match. Make sure that your name in all documents match. Then sometimes, aside these 3 general documents, like the ID card, like your international passports, and then your statement of results and your transcript. Aside these 3 documents, there are some schools that usually request for specific documents like your motivation letter, your statement of purpose, or your curriculum vitae. So it all depends on the program and the university that you're applying for. So in my time, my first choice was economics, master's program in economics, Lund University. And for a master's program in economics, Lund University, I only had to submit my international passport and my certificate, and then school sent my transcript. Then my second choice, I also chose Lund University, and I applied for a master's program in economic growth, population, and development. So for that particular program, I mean, it's the same school, but different programs. So for that program, my second choice, they asked me to submit a statement of purpose. So they gave me a template, and all I needed to do was just to fill it, answer the questions, and submit it. So they requested for my statement of purpose and my curriculum vitae. So it all depends on the school and the program that you are applying for. So just make sure that you study the website. When you select the 4 courses, the 4 programs, and the 4 universities, before you finally, before the deadline, because you can still make changes before the deadline. So before the deadline, go to each of those universities and the programs, check out the requirements that they need, the criteria, and see if you can meet up with those criteria. So you need to make sure that the documents that the program is requesting for, you have it. Make sure that your name match on all the documents. Make sure that you submit your documents in time. Don't wait until the last day. I don't do that. I don't wait until the last day before I submit my documents. I always make sure that I do everything on time. Just try to do everything on time. Submit your documents, finish your application in time. And then there's this application fee, 900 SEK. So even if you're applying, whether you're applying to one university and one program, or you're applying to 4 universities and 4 programs, it's still one application fee you're going to pay. So the application fee you're paying is going to cover the whole schools that you're applying for, application fee of 900 SEK. So your application fee, also try to pay that in time, because they would only start reviewing your application after you've paid your application fee. All right. So for the admission application, I think what helped me was I finished my application in time. I made sure that all my documents, my name matched on all documents, like nothing was missing. And my school sent my transcript in time. I mean, within 2 weeks of applying, my transcript was already in school because I was there to monitor it. So just make sure that everything they need, your application, you submit it on time. Just follow instructions. Try to read. If you don't read, you won't understand. You won't know what they need. So just try to read every instructions. Try to know what they need. Okay. So so let's go to the main thing, the scholarship. So I mean, I've always wanted to do my master's abroad, but I only got to know about the Swedish Institute scholarship when my coordinator told me about it. And I was interested because that was when I actually did more research about Sweden. And I got to discover that their education system was far better than the one in Nigeria. It was a working system. Everything was unique and it was really awesome. So I was interested in it and I gave it a try. So I started applying for scholarships last year after my October. I finished service in October and I also started applying for scholarships when I finished serving. So the Swedish Institute scholarship was one I first of all applied for before I applied for, and then other scholarships. So in December, because for the Swedish Institute scholarship, there are 4 major documents that you need to submit. You need to submit your proof of work and leadership experience form. You need to submit your curriculum vitae. You need to submit your reference form, and you need to submit your motivation letter. So these 4 documents, the scholarship board, they are going to provide template for them. So it's not like you are going to, maybe they ask you to submit motivation letter, or they ask you to submit reference form, and then you just write on your own and no, they have their template. There's a template that you need to follow. They have specific questions that they want you to answer. So what I did was, when they released the template in December last year, I started practicing the essays. I started writing and writing and writing. And even before then, even before they released the template, I looked at previous questions. I looked at the previous templates, like the one from past scholarships, and I was practicing to know what and what I need to do, what I need to improve on, and all that. So when they released the templates, I looked at the questions, and then I started writing, I started practicing, started answering the questions. So for the motivation letter, you need to do that on your own. For the motivation letter, you need to do that on your own. For the curriculum vitae, you need to write that on your own. Then for the proof of work and leadership experience form, you need to, it depends on your referee, because one thing about referees is that if they don't understand the scholarship, they might not know what and what to write in the form. So you need to let them know what the scholarship is all about, so that they will know the right words, they will know the right language to use in the form, all right? So you need to let your referees know what and what they need to know about the scholarship. Some of them can even say, okay, they don't have the time to write the applicant, to fill up the forms and all that, and they can tell you, okay, just go and do it, and then you bring it to me to stamp and all that. But for referee, there's some referees that you just need to, they'll want to fill it for you, do everything for you, but make sure you let them know what the scholarship is all about, because different scholarship have their different criteria. They have different things that they are looking out for. So try to make sure that they know what this scholarship is all about, because if they don't know, they'll just fill in anything there and it won't be so good. So just try to let them know what the scholarship is all about. Try to let them know what the scholarship is all about. Then for the motivation letter, yeah, like last year, it was just one question, 1,000 characters. And you know, 1,000 characters was just like 9 lines. So you just have to be straight to the point and just be straight to the point. Just state what the problem is. Mention the knowledge that you intend to gain from Sweden. How do you intend to impact that knowledge positively in your home country? And what are the outcomes? What do you intend to gain from the knowledge that you're going to impact in your home country? So that's what the motivation letter is all about. And there's one thing that usually works for me. Sometimes I go online to look at write-ups just to know how to write mine. I go online to look at essays. I go online to look at what people have done. I go online to just know how to write motivation. There's some people who don't know how to write motivation letters. Some people don't know how to even write essays. They don't know how to write personal statement. They don't know how to write letter of intent, statement of purpose. So you need to go online and know the difference between these documents. You need to go online to know how to write these different essays, because if you don't know, then you don't know. So I don't know. So that's the thing. Just make sure that you know how to write your essays. Start practicing. Even if the templates are not out, just start practicing. To look for the templates that they used last year. Then try to answer those questions. And make sure that, okay, you're on the right track. Okay, so for the curriculum vitae, you're also going to fill that yourself. That's where you have to show your work experience, your volunteer experience, your education background, your awards and all that. So for work experience, yeah, I've had a lot of people ask me that, okay, at this age, how were you able to gather a lot of work and volunteer? Oh, I'm not too fast, Genius.
You're not too fast. Please go ahead. Or do you want us to because I'm seeing a lot of questions in the chat. Do you want us to do questions and answers? I mean, let's start answering questions.
Okay, it depends on you.
No. You are a special guest of honor. So anywhere you want us to go, we follow you. I mean, we are receiving questions and questions and questions. And you have given a wonderful overview, I must say. And
Okay.
you are about telling us the juicy part. Please continue.
Okay, all right, no problem. Okay, so where did I stop?
Talk about the
Sorry,
questions
did
people
I
have been
stop?
asking you.
You said?
How did you, in this age? Okay, let me ask the question.
Okay.
You're
Now I
21
know.
years old. You just graduated a few months ago, you know?
All right. Well,
Bachelor's
not really a
degree.
few months. Okay,
And
so
right now you are doing your master's at 21 in a fully funded scholarship. And so far we know that SI requires work experience, leadership experience. You know, people have been applying to
yeah,
SI for 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. You
yeah.
applied once.
Okay,
Share
so
the magic to us.
okay, so yeah, so a lot of people have been asking me like, okay, at this age, how were you able to like gather a lot of work experience, volunteer experience? The truth is, while I was studying, I already belonged to some volunteer groups, and even before I started my bachelor's, I taught in a primary school. So I mean, in this like for the scholarship, all your work experience matter, but just make sure that they are relevant, okay? Because one thing I noticed is that if your bachelor's study, your master's program, your work and volunteer experience are all related, it gives you an edge. So it can't be your bachelor's program where you did mass communication, and then for masters you're applying for agriculture, work and volunteer experience, it's something else. But just make sure that everything is related. So I was already, before I started my bachelor's program, my bachelor's study, I taught as a teacher. I taught in a primary school and all of that. So I included that in my CV for the scholarship. And then volunteer experience. Yeah, when I was in school, I was involved in a lot of volunteer activities, charity organizations, welfare programs, and all that. So I also included all those experiences in my CV. And after service, no, during service, I was posted to a manufacturing company where I got experience in human resources, in administration. So all these experiences, I included them in my CV. Okay, so
like me now, I perform organizing.
So all these experiences, I included them in my CV. So it's not like all the work experience and volunteer experience that I used for the scholarship were experiences that I had after I graduated. No, for the scholarship, experiences that you had even before you started your bachelor study, experiences you had during your bachelor study, the ones you had after your bachelor, you can include everything provided it's relevant, okay? Provided it's relevant, just include them, so that was it in my own case. So I already had volunteer experience and some work experience before and during my bachelor study. So when I graduated, I just included the one I had in my PPA. And during service there is this CDS. I don't know if you guys know, like CDS activities that we do like once in a week. So I belonged to charity and gender. So that was what I also included that experience in my CV for the scholarship application, because there we did a lot of charity work. We went to orphanage homes, we went to schools to teach them how to do some basic skills and all of that. So I included everything. I just make sure that everything I was including, um, everything, they were all, how do I explain it now? It was, how do I say this?
I think we understand what you mean. I mean, You included every experience you got as far as they were relevant to your application.
Yeah, they were all relevant. And I don't know, there's something they call SDG goals, right? SDG goals, Sustainable Development Goals. In Sweden, they are passionate about SDG. And in the Swedish community and everything that happens here, everything is all geared to Sustainable Development Goals. So even in the application, they are going to, like, for example, now in your CV, they are going to ask, okay, this particular work experience that you have, is it, what SDG goal is it related to? So mine, all my work experience and volunteer experience were related to just some particular SDGs, because I remember I had no poverty, decent work and economic growth, and gender equality, okay? So just make sure that everything is related to 1, 2, or 3 SDG goals. If you don't know anything about SDG goals, then I don't think this scholarship is for you, because they emphasize, in fact, if you go to the website, they underlined it. So it's very important that you demonstrate this in your application, okay? It's very important that you demonstrate this SDG goals in your application. Then, what other thing do I need to talk about?
Okay.
Yeah.
I think you've pretty much explained that to satisfactory response. I mean,
Yeah.
what experience? I know it's very, very interesting that you had lots of experience as you had a teacher experience as a student. I mean you were
Yeah, that was even before my bachelor's.
Before your bachelor's.
Yeah, and I included it in my application.
Wow, that must be really interesting. That means that this experience included, you had it probably when you were 13-year-old or 14-year-old. Well, I mean, realistically, you included the experience that you had when you were 13-year-old into SI scholarship, and you got the admission, you got the scholarship. I mean,
yeah, I did. The thing is, it's just, everything is just about strategy, right? Just make sure that, like, for example, now I'm passionate about growth, I'm passionate about development, I'm passionate about poverty alleviation. So, like, for example, now when I included the experience about teaching, I explained how I was able to improve the pupil scores out. So just make sure that everything is related to an SDG, you get. So like this, the experience for like the teaching job I did before my bachelor's, that was related to the SDG of quality education. So just make sure that everything you are doing is related to an SDG. So I think that was what I did. I just make sure that everything was channeled towards economic growth and development, then poverty alleviation. Genius, are you there?
Yes, it's quite an interesting strategy that you used. So at least one thing I could get so far strongly is that for you to win the scholarship, you need a strategy. And your own strategy was linking everything towards an SDG and making sure that you used all your experiences when you were even 10 years old.
No, not when I was 10.
So I think we have less than 30 minutes to go. So I think we should, unless there are some other things you want to share with us, maybe we take.
For now, no. If there's any other thing, I'll bring it up. But I think we can answer questions now.
Okay. Some persons sent in questions via email to me. Oh. And you've tried to answer some of these questions, and we're happy that you did. So I'll be sharing. Yes. So the first question we have here is from Tony. Tony says, can I travel with my family if I win SI scholarship? These are questions that came in through my email.
Okay.
And the same Tony also asked another question, can I get work permits or PR during and or after studies?
Okay, so can I travel with my family if I win SI scholarship? Yeah, I mean, I'm not married, right? So, but yeah, you can travel with your spouse. Genius, can they travel with your family? But I know you can travel with your spouse. If you are
Right.
married, you can travel with your husband or your wife.
Your nuclear family. You can't travel with your
Domestic.
brothers and sisters.
Your extended. Okay.
Yeah, you can travel with your nuclear family. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So Tony, if you can hear us, yeah, you can travel with your family if you win the SI scholarship. I think all you just need to do is to include their names when you are applying for your residence permit, right?
Yes, then you also have to show that you have enough money to take care of them.
Yes, to take care of them.
Take care of them, yeah.
Yeah, so can I get work permits during and or after? Yes, you can. You can get work permits after studies. You can. Yes, you can. So
next question is Sebastian. Sebastian sent in, I mean, you've really answered this. This is the same question you answered just a few moments ago.
Okay, how are you able to gather?
Then
Okay.
it's good to know that you gathered from 10 years old.
No, not from 10, junior.
Okay, let's put it into perspective. When did you teach?
Yes, that's one at 10.
Did you do how many years in bachelors? Is it not 4 years?
Yeah, yes, 4 years. No, the funny thing is I didn't even teach for long, but we had to like meet up with one requirement is that you must have at least 3,000 hours of work experience, right? So I just had to put all my work experiences together so I could meet up with 3,000 hours. Yeah, so I didn't teach for a long time, like 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. I just thought for the short time I had between when I finished my WAEC and NECO and before I gained admission. So it was a very short time, but still I included it in my application.
So the last question is from Augustine. Augustine says, what are the best tips for writing the reference letters for the scholarship? And also, Augustine asks, what is your least favorite thing about studying in Sweden? I mean, that last question is quite tricky, but let's take the writing reference part.
Okay, so for the reference letter, what are the best tips for writing? Okay, so yeah, I know that most people do write their reference letters themselves. So just try to make how do I put it now? Just use the right language and the right words. And also, there's this leadership experience. If you have like a situation where you motivated people, you coordinated a project, you successfully met a target, you supervised the team, you did some research, and then you assigned duties, all those leadership roles and all that. I think everything should come in your reference letters. Yeah, they need to come in your reference letter. So the tip I'm going to give you for writing the reference letter is that you make sure that all the times that you influenced the project, that made positive impact, that you coordinated a project, that you led people to achieve a particular target, just include them in your reference letter. All your leadership skills, like every time you led people, your work experience, the things that, okay, for example, now you did something that increased the company's annual income from a certain percentage to a certain percentage, all those kind of growth, all those kind of positive change and all that, everything should come in your reference letters. I don't know if I'm answering this question right, but genius.
No, yeah, you're right. You're right. I'm nodding. Perfect reference.
Yeah, but just make sure that you don't put things that are, how do I put it now?
Of course, don't lie. Nobody says you should go and lie on your reference, please. Put things you really achieve.
Things that are achievable. Don't put things that cannot be achievable within a very short time, because even the scholarship board, people will be reviewing your application, can look at it and it can be suspicious. So just try to make sure that everything is moderate. Try to make sure that you don't exaggerate figures. You don't, just make sure that everything is moderate.
I agree with that. So what's your least favorite thing about studying in Sweden? I'm in Stockholm currently. I have studied in Sweden for 1 year and 2 months. I have been in Sweden for 1 year and 2 months. And Precious has been in Sweden for how many months now?
3 months.
3 months. And I'm very much interested in her answer to this question. Precious, what's
No,
your
Genius.
favorite thing about studying in Sweden?
I have a least favorite. Okay, least favorite thing. Well, okay, so I mean, like it's been going well, it's been awesome. And least favorite, God, this is a very tricky question. Well, maybe the group assignments. Yeah, because although like the group assignments, you get to like interact with a lot of people, you get to interact with people from different countries, you work with people from other nations and all that. But like personally, I've been like in Nigeria, we don't have like a lot of group assignments and group works and all of that. So I'm used to doing my assignments, I'm used to doing my quiz and everything alone and all that. So, but here it's compulsory. So even if you don't want to like interact with, even if you don't want to interact with people, even if you don't want to discuss with people, you just have to. And sometimes you can come across people that are, what English do I, people that are not so interested in what your group is supposed to do, but then you just have to. Yes, I think that should be the least favorite thing for me, trying to tolerate people and trying to, yeah.
Okay. So I think we'll go over to the chats, get some questions from there. But before we do, someone raised up their hand. Helena Durudula. I hope I got that right. If you want to speak, you can speak now.
Hello, good evening.
Yeah.
Hello, good evening.
Hi,
Yeah.
good evening.
Thank you very much, Precious and Genius, for organizing this. So you mentioned something particularly about including the SDGs in our in our applications. Do you mean in your CV? And how exactly do you link the SDG? Like, let me just give a typical example. I am a member of YALI. I'm sure we might be familiar with YALI. That's the Young African Leaders Initiative.
Yes.
And yeah, over time, for a long time, I've always done all these volunteering activities, and it's usually revolve around advocacy, like climate change, and even normal charities have to do with poverty alleviation and all of this. When you are writing this when you are listing out all these activities in your CV, how else can you, is there a particular way you'd write your essay and it will be obvious that you are, or not essay rather, your CV and all this, that it will be obvious that you are referring to a particular SDG without mentioning the SDGs directly? Or it is important that you list out these SDGs in your maybe CV or motivation letter?
Okay. Genius, do you want me to answer or you?
Of course. I think she's directing the question to you, right?
To me? All right, no problem. So the thing is that it's very important that you like study the SDGs, like you go online, study what the SDG is all about. And then we have 17 SDG goals. Then if you look at what you are doing currently in your volunteer group, in your work experience and all of that, you are going to be able to know which SDG goal you are pursuing, all right? Because we have up to 169 targets and over 200 indicators. So if you understand these targets and indicators, it will help you to know what to focus on, and it will help you to fill your CV and your documents. So I think the best thing is just to, I don't know if you've done that, but if you read up what the SDG goals and targets is all about, I'm sure you'll be able to know how to put them in your CV and your other documents without mentioning the SDG goals. And it's still okay for you to mention. You can tell them that your aim is to achieve the 2030 SDG goal of no poverty or of decent work and economic growth. So it's not a bad thing if you mention it in your CV. But then in your CV or your other documents, but then in your CV, under the work experience and volunteer experience, there is a section where you will have to choose which SDG goal is related to that particular work experience or that particular volunteer experience, okay? So it's still going to be there because there is a particular section where you still have to choose. So if you don't know what the SDG goal is all about, you won't be able to know which particular SDG goal is related to what you are doing. So if you know what it's all about, if you go online to read what the SDG goal and the targets is all about, you'll be able to put it in your CV even without mentioning it, and your motivation letter even without mentioning it. But in your CV, there is a section, I don't know if they're going to change it this year, but during my time, there is a particular section where you would have to choose which particular SDG is related to what you are doing. So, Genius, you can add something.
Yeah, I'm also a Yali member, so we are Yalians. I started with Yali in 2015. I'm still with Yali Abuja, Nigeria, because I'm also from Nigeria. And Yali engages in so many SDG goals. I mean, Yali works on SDG goals, virtually all of them. So, but if you're talking about Yali as an organization, I will rightly put Yali into SDG goal 17, partnership for the goals.
Partnership for goals.
Yes, but like Precious said, you have to check out what you do. You as a volunteer in Yali. The Yali has different tracks. So you determine your track, you determine your engagement. If there is any specific engagement that you do, you find the SDG goals that correlates with that, and that's the goal you work with. I mean, so,
but Genius, sorry, but
yeah.
it's still possible because like the International Human Rights Commission, Delta chapter, when I was in school, I also belonged to that group. So like, for example, now if you look at the body as a whole, it's related to peace, justice, and strong institutions and trying to like fight for human rights, right? Yeah, but what I did in the volunteer organization was different. Like what I did was related to another SDG goal. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I mean, you're right. You focus on what you did rather than the organization.
Yeah, because I think that some organization as a whole, they have like a particular SDG they are related to, but then you might be doing something in that organization that is related to another SDG goal. Like for example, now I was a volunteer and I was recruiting volunteers for the organization. So that was classified like under decent work and economic growth for me. So I don't know.
So I think we'll also take some more questions. We'll still have some time to go. So I'll go to the chat box. There are a lot of hands up. Let me read from the chat box, then we'll come back to the hands too. The chat box, we have a question from Nathan. Nathan says, when applying for the master's program, should we upload the certificate and transcript we uploaded last year?
When applying for a master's program?
Yes, should we upload the certificate and transcripts that have been uploaded the previous year?
Yes, you can. Because, wait, I can't see the question on my screen, but yes, you can. I mean, the certificate, that's the only certificate you have. And then the transcript, you have to go to your school to tell them to. Wait, Genius, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I think I also from...
Wait, sorry, the person applied last year?
Probably. That's what I'm trying to understand. That's what the question looks like.
I can't see the question.
One of the first questions, I mean, is very far. I mean, I know there's so many chats. There's so many questions.
Okay. Yeah, but I mean, like, if you uploaded those documents last year, I don't think you need to upload them again.
That's correct.
You don't need to upload. Yeah, you don't need to upload those documents again. You don't. But there are some people who, like, because I know some people who created an account last year, but they did not, maybe they only uploaded their certificates, but they did not send their transcript. So this year, if you want to apply again, you will need to send your transcripts because you did not send them last year. But if you submitted your certificate last year and you uploaded your transcripts last year, you don't need to submit those documents this year. Just the specific documents requested from the school.
Yeah. So the next question we have in the chat is from Toby. Toby says, do we have to send official transcripts to each schools, or we only have to send it to Sweden, to the Sweden portal?
No, you don't. No, you don't. You don't have to send transcript because you only send your transcripts once. And when your school sends the transcript to Sweden, they're going automatically, if it gets to that place, they're going to notify you in your university admissions portal that they've received your transcript. And university admissions portal is like a general portal where all universities have access to. So you just send your transcript once, and once it gets to Sweden, they notify you in your portal that they've received the transcript, and all the universities that you've applied to have access to it. So you send it just once.
Okay, I think we'll also come back to those who raised their hands up. Emmanuel, if you're there, the floor is yours. Emmanuel Akinlose. I hope I'm right.
Okay. Yeah, good evening, Genius. Good evening, Precious. Thank you for this opportunity. My question is, how do we calculate the ECTS? That's like the course hour on the SI portal. Then another thing is, how do we calculate the 3,000 hours in terms of the work experience? That's my question.
Okay.
Okay, so for the ECTS, Genius, please, I think you answer. I know that 60 credits means 1 year. Like if you want to apply for a master's program and the master's, what is stated in front of the master's program is 60 credits, it means 1 year. And if you want to apply for a master's program and what is stated there is 120 credits, it means 2 years. So Genius, please, can you answer the first part of the question?
The Swedish credit is the same with Nigerian credit. So if you're a Nigerian, it makes it all simple for you. You don't need to calculate anything. A semester is 30 credits, both in Nigeria and Sweden, the same thing.
Yeah.
So for admission into a master's program, you need at least 250, if I'm right, or 280. Any of them, at least credits. But if you scored in Nigeria, you already have 30 times 4. Or if it's a 5-year course, 30 times 8, right? Since each semester is 30 credits. So you don't really need to bother about what should I calculate, what should I not calculate. If you have a bachelor's degree, a recognized bachelor's degree from a recognized institution, forget about those calculations. You don't need to bother about that. Your bachelor's degree certification covers it up for you. And then the other part of the question, work hours. Precious, how did you calculate yours?
Okay, so if you want to calculate your hours of work experience, for example, if you work 7 hours in a day, you calculate 7 hours times 5. If you work Monday to Friday, that's 7 hours in a day times 5. And then if you worked 4 weeks, or let's say you worked for 21 days in a month, then when you calculate 7 hours times 5, then you calculate times 4 weeks that you worked. But if you want to calculate it with the number of days, you work 21 days, then you just calculate 7 hours times 21, and then you get the number of hours that you worked for that month, and then you do it times 12 or times 24 or times 36 months, depending on the number of months that you worked. That was how I calculated mine. Yeah, so I just calculated the number of hours that I worked in a day times the number of days I worked, and then the months, and yeah.
That's even if in the SI website, there's also, there's a guide on how to calculate. So the general calculation is this: if you worked full time worldwide is basically 35 to 40 hours in a week. So you need a year and 6 months full-time job to make up 3,000 work hours. But if you didn't work full-time, you have to follow Precious pattern. And Precious used a lot of different work experience. So she calculated it individually per hour, per day, you know. So you just do the mathematics. If you were bad in mathematics, you can also consult Precious. She's an economist. Precious, I'll collect consultancy fee on your behalf. I'll be the secretary. So, so she's an economist. She can help you calculate if she accepts anyway. Anyway, but that's not an issue. So the next question we have here is from the chat. Is from a name I would rather spell MWITA. And this person says, hello, my question is regarding SI scholarship. Can more than two applicants from the same country who apply to the same program at a similar university be awarded the SI scholarship, considering both have the same qualifications?
Okay, like if I got the question correctly, if two people from the same country can
From the same
win,
course, yes.
yeah, the same course, yes, it's possible. It's possible. Like if you both meet the requirements and if people meet the requirements and everything, it's possible. Isn't that genius?
Yeah, it's possible. I mean,
It's
in that
possible.
right. It's possible. I mean, nobody.
Because if you meet up with the requirements and yeah,
So
you do everything
should I
else
say,
to
then
do.
I've met a couple, husband and wife, won SI scholarship together.
Wow.
Yeah, I've met them. And they are from Nigeria too, but they have graduated now. And they also are from Lund University. the both husband and wife, you know, the same year, the same period, the same moment. So the next question we've got is from Ridwan, and he says or she says, I learned on university admissions website that one can send a hard copy of the transcript to Sweden via DHL. How advisable is that?
Yeah, it's possible. It's possible, but during my time, they did not advise people to do that, majorly because of COVID and all that. But I think it's still safer for you to, if your school ought to send it, your school should send it via email. And if you have to upload it yourself online. I think that's a safer way of sending your transcript than sending it through DHL. But that does not mean some people send theirs through DHL, but I think it's safer for you to send it via email if your school needs to send it, or upload it yourself online if you need to upload it yourself.
Okay, we have another question that seems they want to learn more about you. They said, what Lulu or Lolu? I hope I got the name correct. I'm sorry if I didn't.
Lolo.
Yeah, this person, Lulu, this person is asking, what network or civil society organizations did you use for your second letter of reference?
Yeah, I use my charity and gender initiative. Yeah, my NYSC. My CDS group, I belong to charity and gender initiative. So when it was time, I went to meet my local chairman. I explained to him, and then he stamped and signed my reference form for him. So that was what I used. I used my NYSC volunteer experience.
Okay. And then we have another question from Gene Kachi. She's asking, or he's asking, some schools like Lund and Karolinska ask for submissions of research papers. How vital is this for the application process?
Okay, so like I said, there are some programs that we just request for the general documents, and some we just request for the specific documents. But if they ask you to submit any documents aside the general documents, please submit it. It's very important. It's very vital, because before they can ask you to submit those specific documents, it means that they're also going to consider those documents before they can give you admission and all that. So it's very important. Any document they ask you to submit is very important for the application process. So please try to submit it. It's vital.
Okay, so let's go over to people who are raising their hands. We've got Michael. Beish. I can't see the full name. Beishi. Please, if I didn't get your name wrong, right, I'm sorry about that.
Let's just leave it at Michael. Good evening, everyone. I believe you can hear me.
Yes.
Okay, thank you again, once again, Precious and Genius, for this opportunity. I did ask the question on the chat, but I felt I would explain it better while if I talked. So it's as regards the reference letters. I don't know if either the scholarship application or the application to the school specifically require you to provide academic reference letters. I don't know if providing a career reference letter cuts you short of your chance if the academic reference letters are required or compulsory.
Okay. So, for the admission, if they ask you to submit academic reference letter, then for them to ask you to submit that, then it means that it's important. And they're also it's also going to be one of the documents they'll look at during the admission process. So if they ask you to submit an academic reference letter for the admission, then please do. Then for the scholarship, yeah, it's stated in their website that one of your reference letter must be from your work experience, and then the second reference letter should either be from your academic, should either be from school, maybe from a lecturer or professor, an academic reference letter, but it's going to be a merit if you get your second reference letter from a volunteer or civil organization. So for them to tell you that it's a merit, then instead of submitting the academic reference letter for the scholarship, then just submit a reference letter from your work experience and a reference letter from a volunteer or civil organization. But for the admission, if they ask you to submit an academic reference letter, then please, it's important, you should submit it.
Okay, Precious, we've done an hour. I don't know how long you're willing to stay. Can we take more questions? There are so many of them. I have 48 unread chats.
Oh my God. Yeah, sure. Let's go on.
Okay, then there's a question from Gene Kachi, I think, again. And this person is asking, saying, I understand that you don't apply directly for the SI scholarship. So is it the school that contacts you to apply, or you indicate interest for the scholarship while submitting application to your school?
That you don't apply directly for the scholarship.
I think this person has some wrong information.
No, the thing is, first of all, you apply for admission. Then after applying for admission, in February, you apply for the scholarship. When you apply for the scholarship, you're going to apply it. You're going to do the application process yourself. So you apply for the scholarship in February, and first week of April, they release admission results. Last week of April, they release scholarship results. So you apply directly, you apply yourself.
Okay.
But that's after the admission process.
This person is asking you, maybe it's more like a repetition. Abdullahi, he's saying, please mention the major aspects of the motivation letter, considering it will be made up of just 1,000 characters, including spaces.
I don't understand that question. I should mention what?
The most important parts of the motivation letter, knowing that it only has 1,000 characters.
Okay, so the thing is, it depends on the questions that you are asked, and it depends on the number of characters. Why I said 1,000 characters was because during my own time, we were asked just one question and we were to answer with just 1,000 characters. So the question they asked us last year was, describe how you can apply the knowledge and experience gained from your time in Sweden, in your organization or company, and or in your own country upon your return from Sweden. So here, they just want to know how you are going to, the knowledge you get from Sweden, the knowledge gained, how are you going to use it in your own country? How is it going to create a positive impact in your own country? So the way I answered this question, I first of all started by mentioning what the problem is, because I talked about poverty, economic growth, and development in all my application. So I started answering this question by mentioning what the problem is, the total number of Nigerians that were living in abject poverty, and the number of people who were dying daily. I tried to make use of figures. That was what I did. Then after mentioning the problem, then I stated the knowledge that I intended to gain from Sweden. Then after that, I explained how I was going to leverage my network with Nigeria's Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, and upon my return back to Nigeria, how I was going to implement what I've already gained in Sweden in my home country. And the last thing I mentioned in the motivation letter was the outcome of what I was going to do in Nigeria, and then the total number of people that were going to benefit from what I was going to do in my home country. So that was it. That was what I did.
Okay. We'll go back to people who are raising their hands. On top of my screen is Aina Oluwakemi.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for this Zoom meeting. I actually have 3 questions, but I'll just be very brief. My first question is, should you include your application number while your school is sending the transcript? That's the first question. My second question is, with respect to the SI scholarship, where you're talking about the work experience, if you want to, include, maybe you worked in a civil society while in school, but now you're out of school, is it going to fall under civil involvement outside work, or something like maybe like a student organization? Because since you did it while you were in school, is it supposed to fall under maybe like student organization, since in a student environment, or do it like an NGO? Yeah. So I think that's basically it. Yes. Yeah, that's my question.
Okay. So for the first question, it said, should you include your application number when your school is sending your transcript to Sweden, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so the answer is no, because these people, they want your school to send your transcript. So if you include your application number, then it means that you are the one sending your transcript. They have a way of sorting it out when it arrives Sweden. So you just go to school, tell them that you want to send your transcript to Sweden, and then the only thing school would ask you to submit is the email address that you want to send it to in Sweden. So you don't have to give them your application number. You don't have to give them the cover page in your university admissions portal. Just tell them you want to send your transcript and give them the email address, and that's all. You don't have to give them your application number. Yeah, and then the second question, you asked if your civil or volunteer experience, if it should be added under work. Please, can you come again?
Okay, my question is, okay, let me just, for instance, I volunteered while in school. Let me just say, for like an NGO or a civil society. And that was while I was in school. And, I've gone through some of those formats of the form. And then, there's a tiny box there that, they'll ask, is it civil society outside work? Is it student organization? Is it volunteering work? So in a situation like that, since you did it while you were in school and, you're out of school and you're no longer in the organization, is it supposed to fall under civil society outside work, since at the time you were not working yet, you were still a student? Or it's just going to fall under student organization, since, or maybe volunteering work, I don't know, but like I just feel like maybe you can answer the question and just give me more insights. I don't know if you understand my question.
Okay, yeah, I think I do, but I'll answer the way I understand it. I mean, yeah, so I think it should be volunteer experience outside work because, like, for example, I mean, work experience are experiences or jobs that you get paid for. So if you weren't paid for this volunteer or civil organization works that you did, then I think it should be volunteer experiences outside work. Genius, right?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So are you
All right.
okay with the answer?
Yeah, I'm okay. Thank you very much.
All right, you're welcome.
Okay.
Okay, sorry, please. I remember my last question. I wanted to ask, like, what if some of this civil organization or your work, what if they don't like have an official email address or an official website? Does it affect your chances?
No, it doesn't because my some did not have official website. Although my one had, and I included it, but that was the only one I included. The other ones did not have, so it's not a big deal.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
From the chat box, we have a question from Perpetual, and she's saying, "Hi, Precious. If I work in a university, can my reference letter from my work experience still be from a lecturer? Invariably, I will have to use two lecturers."
Two lecturers, meaning that you're going to have two reference letters from your academic, like two academic reference letters.
Yes.
Okay, no. In the scholarship, in the website, the Swedish Institute Scholarship website, it stated that you need to submit two reference letters, and one of the reference letters must be from your work experience. The must is there, it must be from your work experience. Then the second reference letter should either be the second reference letter can be from school, like your lecturer or your professor, but then it's going to be a merit. It's going to be an advantage if you can get the second reference letter from your volunteer or civil organization. So if you ask me, I'll tell you to get your two reference letters from your work experience and your civil or volunteer experience. So getting two reference letters from school is a no-no. You've disqualified yourself already because one of your reference letter must be from your work experience and the second one from either school or your volunteer or civil organization, but it will be a merit if you get the second one from your volunteer or civil organization. So no, you can't get the reference letter from school.
Yeah, and just to add to that, Perpetual, if you said you work in a university, now you need to distinguish between professional or work reference from academic reference. If you work in a university, let's say, for example, you're a lecturer, and then a letter from work experience is to be written for you. It shouldn't be written by your fellow colleague, your fellow lecturer. It should be written by your head of department or your dean or your vice chancellor or someone in administrative head. If it's written someone in the capacity of lecturing or academic, that's a no-no, like Precious said. But if it's written in them as a work experience, written from an admin point of view, then it can serve as work experience since you work with the university. So I think we should be taking the last set of questions. For those of us who sent so many questions in the chat, unfortunately, we can't take all of them. And what we can do is this. You can reach out to us, find me, find Precious. Precious will be sharing her social handles. Anywhere she wants you to find her, she'll share it on the chat, unless she doesn't want you to find her. So you can find us, you can send us your question. You can reach out to me on social media, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. And I have videos that have also answered these questions before. Even there's one video I suggest you watch. Earlier this year, I hosted a webinar where the SI scholarship manager was my guest, Mr. Magnus Anderson. And it was like a Q&A session. And if you have some of questions that are peculiar to the scholarship, I think he answered those questions, and who better will have a wonderful answer to your questions. So go watch that video. If there are other questions you would like to personally ask, maybe unique to your case, feel free to reach out to me. You can reach out to me on my individual handle, or you can just go to my blog. I've got a blog, www.amaraizu.com. Check out my website. You see my handles there. You reach out to me. This is my email address. I receive so many emails, so many messages. I might take a little while before I respond to you, but I try as much as possible to respond to all my DM, all my messages. So you can reach out with your questions, and as soon as we have the answer, we will provide the answer for you. So conclusively, we would like to hear from these few hands I'm saying. Then after these few hands, I think we call it a day. I wouldn't want us to spend more than an hour and 30 minutes. So we basically have less than 10 minutes to go. So we've got Ahmed Erin Kitola. Please forgive me if that's wrong, but Ahmed, please.
All right, so good evening, everyone. So regarding the reference letter submission, so it was said that we should submit one from our work experience. And to be a merit, if you're submitting one from our volunteering experience, or perhaps we can submit from academic. But where I have issue is one of my volunteering experience actually happened in a school. So as a student volunteer, yeah, so working for more than 4 years, like as a student volunteer, and the aspect of quality education anyways. So where I now have the challenge is, it's not under a named body, right? So is it okay if I have perhaps like one of my like academic reference that knows about this thing to also like, put the statement as part of the referencing in his own letter? So that's my question. I don't know if you get it, or should I come again?
Yes, please come again.
All right, so like we have 3 options. So one is to use the work experience, submit a reference letter from our work experience. The next one from our volunteering experience, which they said it's going to be merit if you use it. But then if you don't have that, we can use academic reference. But one of my volunteering experiences happened in the school. So as a student volunteer, so the aspect of it is the that it falls under is under quality education. So working for 4 years, and this volunteering does not, it didn't happen under a named body. So it's more or less like something that I spearheaded by myself. So there's no way I could get like someone to write the reference letter on my behalf, right? But then I have an academic reference, like a referee that knows about this thing. Is it okay if the person talks about it as part of the academic referencing and just mention that on the side?
Okay, so if I got your question correctly, you said you belong to a volunteer organization that you organized yourself.
Yeah.
But then there is no name for it.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, and then you talked about, what did you say about the academic? I didn't get that part. About
So
someone
like
is going to...
I was actually thinking of using an academic referee. So, but then these same academic referees are aware about my volunteering in school. So I was now thinking, if this person is going to be writing a reference on my behalf, like the academic reference, so can the person also include on the side, like in what capacity he knew me, like for the volunteering while in school?
Yes, you can. I mean, that's what the reference letter should be about, in what capacity he knows you and how well he knows you and the things you've done and how you've made positive impacts in your society. But still, I'm still going to tell you that getting a reference letter from an academic reference letter won't still give you an edge because, for example, if we have two qualified candidates and one candidate has a reference letter from work and a volunteer organization, and then you have a reference letter from work and from school, then the person who have reference letter from his or her work experience and from volunteer experience, they're likely to pick that person over you because the person has his or her second reference letter from volunteer experience and you have your own from school. So yeah, but it's not too late. You can still join volunteer organizations. Yeah, you can still join volunteer organizations. I mean, the scholarship application is going to start in February, so you still have time to be involved in volunteer activities and yeah. Genius, do you want to add something?
There's nothing else to add actually. So
All right.
since we are rushing, we'll take the next person. The next person is Mary. Mary Wanwa. Okay, if Mary is not available, we'll take Oluwatosin.
Thank you, everyone. My question goes like this. I would like to know the difference. Um, there is a form, work experience form, and under the work experience form, there are type of work. So I want to know the difference between civil society involvement in network or civil society organization outside of work and volunteer and volunteering. There is another type of work. We have up to 6 type of work here. We have the employment, studying, volunteering, internship, student organization. So I want to know the difference between volunteering and involvement in network or civil society organization outside of work, because I have an experience that can be categorized under volunteering or involvement in network of civil society outside of work. Do you get my question?
Yeah, I got your question. Okay, like when you talk about civil organizations, civil societies, we have like the Red Cross, right? Because I would classify the Red Cross Society under civil society or under civil organizations. But then volunteering like charity organizations and yeah, that's what I'm referring. But in my own case, I didn't have anything to do with civil organizations. I had everything under volunteering. And yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know if that answers, but Genius, I think Genius should have a better answer to that.
Sorry, I was not paying attention. Can you repeat if Precious wants me to say something?
Okay. What I'm actually...
I was dealing with chats. There are so many chats, both private and
Okay.
otherwise. Yeah.
Okay, let me just, in a single word, I have an experience where I was still in school, and the experience can be categorized. The organization that I work for, let's just say, is a church organization, Christian organization. So at that point in time, I had a leadership role as a student. So when I graduated from school, I'm no longer connected to the organization anymore because I've left school and I've left the church. So under the type of work experience form, there are boxes to select from. We have the employment, we have involvement in network of civil society organization outside of work, we have studying, we have volunteering, we have internship, and we have student organization work. So I want to select one out of the about 6 options. So I'm going for either volunteering or in network or civil society organization outside of work. So she said you should enlighten me more on what to choose.
Well, you can choose volunteer like you mentioned, but
Okay.
there is more to choosing. In any
Yeah.
course you choose, you tell a story. You tell what you achieved, what you did, or whatever happened when you choose it. So that should
Okay.
tilt you towards what you should choose. I mean, mainly. But
Okay.
whether you chose student or volunteer or whatever, I mean, that matters least. What matters more is your story. If you ask me.
You just leave it open, leave it like that, don't check it.
We'll go to
Right.
the question, and it's from Abdul Kadri. Abdul Kadri. If Abdul Kadri is not available, Abdul Kadri Ismail. If you're not available, then Sarah Akujenu.
Okay, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
And thank you for this webinar. Although I came in late, but my question is, please, what exactly is the SI scholarship looking for in applicants?
Okay, what exactly are they looking for? Okay, so they want people, because I mean, have you gone through their website? Because
Yes,
they usually emphasize, yeah, they usually emphasize on people who have leadership experience and people who have volunteer experience. Yeah, because this leadership and volunteer experience, most volunteer experience are related to an SDG goal. So I think the key thing is just have the leadership experience they need, have the volunteer experience they need, and other like criteria and requirements. So the key thing is make sure you have relevant work experience. Make sure you have your motivation letter is corresponding with what you've done in your work, what you've done in your volunteer groups and all that. So, because I know that if your bachelor's, your master's program, everything you are doing is related to a particular goal, then it gives you an edge. Then make sure you have leadership experience and you have volunteer experience. They are very important. And then read up what the SDG goals is all about and see how you can relate it to what you are doing. It's going to help you to write your essays and fill your application. So leadership experience, volunteer experience, the SDG goals is very important.
okay, thank you for that. But now the thing there is that I studied surveying and geoinformatics during my undergraduate,
Okay.
and I'm going for geomatics or geospatial sciences. And my leadership and volunteering experiences has been towards, okay, now I'm presently the welfare of Yali Ogun State, and I'm also the welfare for on a climate change, climate advocacy NGO. I've had leadership experience while in school. So they don't really like, it's not really like in line with what I want to study. Do you get me?
Yeah. So what master's program do you intend to go for? Is it related
Geomatics.
to your volunteer experience?
No, it's related to my work experience.
Okay. So that means your bachelor's program and your master's program is not related at all.
No, it is related, but my
Okay.
leadership and my volunteering experiences are not related.
It's not related. Hello? Yeah, it's not related. Okay. Because, well, I don't, in this situation, I can't really say, because in my own time, I tried as much as I could to make sure that everything I was working on were all related to a particular goal or some goals. So yeah, that was what I did. I don't know the suitable answer to this. Genius.
Yeah, but Precious, you're right.
Yeah,
I mean,
because if, yeah.
yeah, I mean, her bachelor's, her work experience, and her master's is related. She is only concerned
Yes.
that her volunteer work, which is things you do outside work experience, is not related. That's not a problem. I mean,
Yeah.
these are things you do, leadership experience you get outside your regular work experience. And that's what
Regular
SI is
work
looking for.
experience.
But the way you have to do what Precious did is you find a way to link all these things up together to certain SDG goals. Then there's always a
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So
Thank you.
lastly, we'll take Jonathan and Jonathan, please.
All right. Okay. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm from Ghana, and I find myself in a lot of volunteering and leadership positions, about 5 of them. So when it happens this way, how am I to it will kind of be difficult for me to know where to look for like a reference letter, because I think there'll be competition as to who I should where I should take the reference letter to my volunteering to. So since I can't submit all the 5, so I know if there's a strategy to go by this.
Okay, you said you have 5 volunteer experience and you want to choose like some out of the 5, not everything, if I got that right.
Yes, you are right.
Okay, so you just want to know which one to use for the scholarship application.
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
Okay, so personally, I would say that you should choose the volunteer experience where you made more impact, where you did more activities, more positive impact, more like maybe where you led a certain people, where you had to supervise a team, where you were more involved, all right? Yeah, so I think those volunteer experience where you were more involved and you did a lot of activities, and then it's related to your goals, related to what you intend to do and what you intend to state in your motivation letter. That's the volunteer experience I would ask you to go with.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Claire. Thank you very much.
Esther Ezemba.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much for this webinar. My question is this. I understand that one can also apply for a particular university scholarship aside the SI or alongside the SI. So in a situation where during the admission or during the application for a particular school, maybe your first choice, you are required to submit a motivation letter. And now in applying for the scholarship of that particular school, they also asked for a motivation letter. Is it okay to submit the motivation letter the same way you did during the application for the admission, or you have to structure it and change it entirely? So that's my question. I don't know if you understand me.
Okay, so if I got it correctly, you're asking if you can submit the same motivation letter you used during the admission application, if you can use the same motivation letter for the scholarship application.
Yes, of the particular university that you want to apply for the scholarship.
Oh, for university scholarship?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, there are some universities that usually come with their questions, like the specific question they want you to answer. So it depends. If when you were applying for the program and then they ask you to upload a motivation letter and it's not, they didn't give you a format, they didn't give you a template, you just have to answer that on your own, then that's okay. But if for the university scholarship, they give you a particular question, a specific question that you need to answer, then you can submit the same motivation letter for the scholarship. And then you know that university scholarship and then the Swedish Institute scholarship as a whole, they are usually very competitive. So you want to write a very good motivation letter. So yeah, since it's the same school, you can use the same motivation letter. So it just depends if the university scholarship don't come with a specific question and a specific template.
Okay, thank you.
So Precious, you can just give us your final words, your final notes, yeah.
Okay, I'll just tell you all that if you want the scholarship, if you really want the scholarship, you need to do a lot of study. You need to go through the website. You need to get information from every source that you can get information from. If there is anything that you don't understand, always try to reach out to someone that you know that, okay, this person will be able to help out, or this person has answers to what I don't understand. So just try to reach out to people. Try to make sure that you follow instructions. Try to make sure that you follow instructions. And then when you are writing your essays, when you are filling your forms, don't go and copy another person's work, please, because of plagiarism. It's an offense, yes. So if you just copy another person's work, or you go online and then you just copy what you see online and put in your application, then they are going to disqualify you automatically. So just make sure that you follow instructions, the requirements and the criteria, everything they need. Make sure that you get them ready before the application starts, and make sure you submit your documents in time, and reach out to people if there's anything that you don't understand. Yeah. So I wish you guys good luck. Wish you guys success ahead. Yeah.
So on this note, we want to say thank you very much, Precious. We are happy that you honored our invitation, and we are glad that we've learned one or two things from you. And we are motivated that by your 22nd or 23rd year, you will be a master's degree holder. And will you be a PhD? Now. By 27, you will be a doctor. Oh my God, a PhD doctorate. Oh my good God. You know, that's quite encouraging, really. You know, it's quite encouraging. So we are very happy that you honored the invitation. Thank you very much. And
thank you
to
too.
all the participants. Some persons started with us immediately it was time, and have been with us till now. I mean, it takes a lot of energy to sit down at a place for hours. So thank you so very much for being part of this. We are happy, and we are hopeful that by next year, Precious will come and welcome you at the airport.
Yeah, I'm waiting for you guys.
Stockholm, or you come from Göteborg, or from which airport? Or Copenhagen. Precious is very close to Denmark, Copenhagen, so she can come pick you.
Yeah, I'm close to Copenhagen.
And she didn't show us her face today, but she will show us her face tomorrow, because she will be our guest again. Precious, please confirm that you'll be our guest before everybody now. Will you be our guest? You need to confirm that, yes, you'll be our guest again.
Yeah, it's not a problem.
So thank you very much, and I appreciate. Have a wonderful time, and I wish you good luck in your application. Bye for now.
Bye.